And luckily, the judge has upgraded, I think, the audio and the video, because the first day when they were doing the opening statements, oh my God, I don't know what was going on with their microphone, and it was just a hot mess. But it's a lot better now. I think they probably just tweaked some things. The text messages between Chad and Lori, and then what the family members say about Chad, friends, what they say about Lori, like, oh, these are just two people. They're just, I can't believe one of the two most cringiest people in the world just like met each other. Ugh.
He was one who was looking for brother and sister. Let's go in for his testimony.
So we're going to listen to Colby Ryan's testimony. He is Lori Vallow's adult child, the oldest. And he's going to talk about how he was raised by Charles Vallow, which is Lori's fourth husband, right? Charles Vallow was her fourth husband. And I think Colby's biological dad was Lori's third husband, but he was mainly raised by Charles.
Daybell, we just completed the lunch recess, and the state continues with its case in chief. The state may call its next witness.
The state calls Colby Ryan. Can you state your name and spell your last name for the record?
Yes. Colby Ryan, R-Y-A-N.
Mr. Ryan, who is your mother?
Lori Vallow.
Poor Colby.
How many siblings do you have?
4.
Okay, can you tell us their names?
Cole, Zach, Tylee, and JJ.
And Cole and Zach, what is your specific relationship or relation to them?
They're my stepbrothers.
Who was their father?
Charles Vallow.
Your Honor, may I publish? Mr. Ryan, do you recognize that individual?
Yes.
Who is that? What is your specific relation to Tylee?
She's my half-sister on my mom's side.
So you share a mother?
I feel so bad for
Your
having
Honor,
Lori Vallow as your mom.
Mr. Ryan, do you recognize that individual?
Yes.
And if you need a drink of water, I don't know if there's tissues up there.
Yeah, I'm good.
Who is that?
That is my brother, JJ.
I think he's in like his early
And
or
what is your
mid-30s now, right?
specific relation to JJ?
He is my adopted brother.
Do you recall when JJ was adopted?
Yes.
Do you know who Charles Vallow was?
Yes.
Who was he?
He was my stepfather.
And when you say stepfather, how was he your stepfather?
He married my mom.
How long was he married to your mom?
Over 10 years.
All right. And what was your relationship like with Mr. Vallow?
He was my dad. It was good.
So fair to say you were close with him?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you recall when Mr. Vallow passed away?
Yes.
Or Charles Vallow? If I say Charles, we understand who we're talking about, right?
Yes.
Do you recall when he passed away?
Yes.
When was that?
July 11th, 2019.
How did you hear about him passing away?
My mom called me and told me that he had a heart attack.
That's crazy. Why would you say a lie like that? That will obviously later on, like they can find out that, oh, my dad did not have a heart attack. Why? Doesn't seem very smart, Lori.
And do you remember about what time of day that was?
Between like 1 and 3 o'clock, something in the afternoon.
In the afternoon?
Mm-hmm.
Did you have any reason to not believe or that that's how he passed away?
No.
Did you have any occasion to go over and to your mother's house that day?
Yes.
And where was that house located?
In Gilbert, Arizona.
Do you know approximately what time you went over?
And I got off at work at 7, so around 7:30, 7:45.
What happened? What was the first thing you saw when you got there?
Tylee opened the door and hugged me, and she was crying. And then I saw my Uncle Alex sitting on the couch with a bandage around his head. And then I saw my mom in the backyard, and that was it.
Did you go into that?
And the day that their dad got murdered, she like just nonchalantly took the kids to like Burger King. She went to Burger King, took them there, and then like just came back and acted like nothing happened while her brother was there dealing with the mess.
The house?
Yes.
Did you see your brother JJ there?
No.
Did you speak with Alex Cox at all that night?
Yes.
How did that conversation go? What did he say to you?
Objection, hearsay.
Statement of a co-conspirator, Your Honor.
Overruled.
Tell us about the conversation with Alex Cox. Well, and before we do that, what was your relation to Alex Cox?
He was my uncle.
And you testified you saw him with something white wrapped around his head?
Yes.
Did you speak to him at all that night?
I asked him what was on his head, and he said that Charles had hit him in the head with a bat and that he had shot him in self-defense.
And is that how you learned how your stepdad died?
Yes.
Did he tell you anything else about that altercation?
No.
And did you ever have any other occasion to speak to him about that altercation?
No.
You said you saw your mother that night. And what was her demeanor?
Calm, unrattled.
How would that make you feel? Your mother tells you, oh, he died only the tip.
Closing argument is that's
Young Chad Daybell is up to him.
How Charles had actually died.
Yes.
How did that conversation go?
She told me there was a fight and ran through it very quickly. And it was just in shock. I can't remember exactly what she said, but she just basically gave me a very quick version of the story.
Did she tell you why she had lied to you earlier?
No.
Do you remember if you asked her?
I don't remember.
Did you ever speak with Lori Vallow about Charles Vallow's life insurance policy?
Yes.
Oh, no.
When was, do you know if that happened multiple times?
I know she'd mentioned it growing up. She talked to us about what would happen if either one of them, something happened to them, what would happen. I think it was a few weeks later that she brought up that she was not going to receive any of the money from Charles.
Now let's just take a quick step back. When you say a few weeks later, what do you mean a few weeks later?
After Charles was murdered.
Okay. And
I think the money instead went to his sister, right? To Kay.
she told you then that she was not going to receive that money.
Yes.
From that conversation, was it your understanding that she had been expecting to receive that money?
Yes.
And okay.
That's the money she was going to use to run away with her lover boy,
When Charles was
Chad
alive,
Daybell.
did you ever have occasion to speak with Lori Vallow about her and Charles's finances?
Yes.
Was that something that came up often?
Yes.
About how often? To the best of your recollection?
I would say maybe monthly,
One of the sources of income. They were trying to get money everywhere, okay?
once a month.
And what was the general nature of those conversations?
From what I understood, Charles would work and then receive a bigger amount of money, and then it would kind of run out, and then they'd make another bigger amount, and then it would run out. So it's kind of the nature of the conversation would be that they were running low on money, something to that degree.
Okay. And was that a common theme then?
Mm.
Just to be clear, it was a common theme that they were running out of money.
Yes.
Do you know who Tylee Ryan's father was?
Yes.
Who was that?
Joseph Ryan.
And I know that you and Joseph Ryan have the same last name.
Yes.
Was he your biological father?
No.
Okay. But
Oh,
did
he's
you
not.
take his last name?
Yes.
And do you know if Mr. Ryan is alive or deceased?
He's deceased.
And do you recall when that happened?
Summer of 2018, I think.
Wait, what
Something
happened
around
to
that
him?
time.
You don't remember the exact date?
No.
And were you aware if Tylee Ryan received Social Security benefits after Joe Ryan passed away?
Yes.
How did you learn that?
My mom told me that she would be receiving benefits.
And do you know if she received that monthly?
Yes.
Did you ever receive money from Tylee Ryan?
Yes.
How would that usually happen?
Venmo. She would Venmo me.
Would you ever ask her for some money?
I did, yes.
Hey,
And
Sean.
about how often would that happen?
Maybe I can recall asking Tylee specifically a couple times. I would mostly ask my mom, and Tylee would be the middleman between those transactions. So I'd ask my mom, and she would tell Tylee to send the money.
Speaking of that, to your knowledge, did Lori Vallow ever send you money by sending it to Tylee, who would then Venmo it to you?
Yes.
And how did you know that?
I would ask my mom, and then she said, okay, Tylee will send it over to you.
Do you recall the last time you saw Tylee Ryan?
Yes.
When was that?
It's August 30th.
And where was that?
It was outside of my work in the parking lot.
Is that in Arizona?
It was in Mesa, Arizona, outside of a gym.
Okay. And what was the nature of that visit?
My mom was very vague and said that they were leaving. She brought Tylee and JJ, and Tylee was crying and didn't say anything really. And I hugged JJ, and my mom said that they'd be back in a few weeks to visit.
Aw.
Did she tell you where she was going?
No.
Do you recall if you asked?
I did ask initially.
But she wouldn't tell you?
No.
All right, let's pause the testimony so we can have an opportunity.
I'd asked her to send money. And I think we had talked earlier that day a little bit. I didn't talk to her directly, but I had heard her voice, and they said that they were on a trip. And I think I'd asked her for money. I think that's what it was.
Okay. And did she respond? Do you recall?
Yes.
What did she respond?
I don't remember what she said exactly. I remember her last text that she said, which is, I love you and I love the girls.
And you said you heard her voice earlier that day. And how did you hear her voice?
She was in the background of my conversation with my mom.
Right. And did your mom tell you where they were
She said they're at Yellowstone Park.
after Charles's death about Tylee's Social Security money?
Yes.
What was the nature of that conversation?
So if I recall, she said that Tylee's money was not going to be everybody's money since she.
Judge, can I have some foundation as to what time, date, place this discussion took place?
So the foundation objection, Mr. Wood.
Your Honor, I'll ask a few more questions.
Thank you.
Do you recall approximately when that conversation took place?
I don't.
Okay, was it?
Oh, he wrote a book too. It says wrote a book about experience titled "The God Over Odds." It was published in April 2022.
In person?
I don't recall. I think it was on the phone, maybe.
But it was after Charles's death.
Yes.
And just to be clear, you don't recall the exact date.
No, I don't remember.
What was the nature of that conversation about Tylee's money?
Judge, again, foundation.
Overruled.
I knew that she wasn't going to be receiving the money, so she said we're going to supplement some Tylee's money for now, and I'm going to go work. That was what she said, and that was basically the nature. But she said we're going to start using Tylee's money to make it through. And I think that they,
Oh, was this after Tylee was murdered?
I don't know if they were receiving anything for JJ, but that was the nature of the conversation.
Okay. So you don't recall if she mentioned JJ receiving Social Security?
I don't remember, but I know about it. I just don't remember if she said that.
Okay. And do you recall if she said anything about her receiving Social Security benefits after Charles died?
No.
September or August 30th of 2019?
Yes.
Were you contacted by the Gilbert police on November 27th of 2019?
Yes.
What was the purpose of that contact?
They came to our door looking for Tylee and I think JJ as well. I specifically remember them asking about Tylee first.
Yeah. And what did you tell them?
Have you guys ever heard the phone call between Lori Vallow and her sister? It's like so heartbreaking. I feel so bad for her sister. She was trying to figure out where the kids were, and Lori was just like, la, 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 like in her own fucking land.
I said I didn't know where they were.
Do you recall if you told them about the last time you had seen them?
I think so. I think so.
Thanks, Kiki. Like the stream.
At that time,
Thanks.
had you been concerned about
All right, we need to take a break, but you don't want to.
Why are there so many breaks here?
A normal way and was always avoided. Her dialect in her text, the way she spoke wasn't matching up. And I had texted her for her birthday and just things of that nature. Just wasn't getting calls, wasn't getting
So they were texting pretending to be her.
any contact in a normal way and was always avoided. So I thought maybe she was upset with me. But
Who do you think was doing the texting pretending to be Tylee? You think it was Chad Daybell or Lori Vallow? Actually, it could have been Alex Cox too, right?
I just didn't want to pressure her because I know she'd been through a lot.
And so you mentioned text messages. Was there a change in those messages?
Yes.
How so?
Just little things like if you capitalize the letter I in periods and emojis, just things like that. Things just didn't sound right. And it just felt off when I was receiving those texts.
Do you recall the last time you spoke with her on the phone?
The last time I directly spoke with Tylee was on the 30th with JJ on FaceTime.
Wait, was ChatGPT a thing back then?
So the same day that I saw them.
So you FaceTimed with them later that day?
Yes.
Not yet, right? It was like after pandemic, I think.
And then you never spoke with her again on the phone. But going back to those text messages, did you keep receiving text messages throughout September of 2019?
Yes.
And are those the messages that you felt were different?
Yes.
Okay. Did you respond to those messages?
Yes.
After the beginning of September, did you continue to receive money from Tylee's Venmo?
I think so.
Do you recall how often?
I think maybe a couple more times. So maybe 2 or 3.
And did you receive any more money from Lori Vallow?
Yes.
How much was
And how
Lori
did she
sending?
send that?
So she started sending money after I had not heard from her since that day. She started sending money on Cash App. I think she made a separate account and just tried to send money and it kept denying it because it was a new account. I think it was all through Cash App at that point at just random times.
Okay. And was it in response to you asking for money or was it just sent? Do you recall?
It was just sent.
Yeah. After Charles Vallow died, did you ever speak with your mom about her getting married again?
Yes.
And do you remember when that conversation was?
Oh, no.
Maybe a few weeks after
After he passed away?
he was gone, yes.
Now, what did she tell you about that?
It wasn't really a conversation. She just said a one-off thing like, I'll be married again soon. And I disregarded her and told her that I think that's crazy, or maybe she's talking about in the next life. It wasn't a real conversation. It was just a comment she made, and I completely dismissed what she said.
So she didn't give you any details about who she was marrying?
No.
When she was getting married?
No.
Other than soon?
Just soon, yeah.
Yep, after her husband was murdered, she was so excited to murder this next guy.
Did your mom ever mention the name Chad Daybell to you?
I don't think so. No, I know
And she was so excited she couldn't even contain it within herself that she had to fucking tell her son. Oh my God.
she was becoming spiritual, if you want to call it that, for a long time. But she doesn't. I only knew Melanie. I didn't know anybody else that she was spending a ton of time with.
And when you say Melanie, which Melanie?
Melanie Gibb.
Okay.
Yes.
Did you contact your mother after November 27th?
Wait, I think Melanie Gibbs, she already testified, right? Lori's niece. I heard that Brandon Boudreaux, I heard that he testified. Apparently, they were trying to make a hit at him. Possibly.
When you were contacted by the Gilbert police?
I immediately contacted her after they left.
And what did you say to her?
I asked her, what is going on? Why are the cops asking me where Tylee and JJ are? And she said, she asked me, like, what did they ask? And I said, they asked for Tylee and JJ. And I said, what's going on? And she just proceeded to say, I'll take care of it. Don't worry about anything. And then she's like, that's it. Like, I got it.
At that point, did you know where your mother was?
No.
So she had never told you where she was?
No. We speculated based off of the Yellowstone thing, but didn't have an idea where she actually was.
And so you didn't know she was in Rexburg, Idaho?
No.
And she never told you that?
No.
Oh, this is when she moved.
Did you try to contact your mother on Thanksgiving?
Yes.
Did she respond to you?
No.
Up next, Michael Ayala joining me for...
Be okay. Don't worry about me. I've got Jesus on my side. Blah, blah, blah. But basically just saying it's okay. I've got things handled.
You think Lori still thinks she has Jesus on her side?
Money from, you mentioned a number of times that you were
Oh, I think this is John Pryor now. Maybe cross-examination.
receiving money from Tylee and Lori. Is that right?
Mm.
And 2018, 2019.
Yes.
Sound about right?
Yep.
This is Chad's attorney.
4, 5, 6 years ago.
Yep.
Financially, is there a reason why they were sending you money?
We were just a young family and I just needed help and I was asking my mom for help.
You were a young family with children of your own?
Yes.
Okay, and just difficulty supporting yourself?
Yeah.
So your sister Tylee was helping out?
Sometimes, yeah.
And that was consistent
Aww.
with her character, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
Very caring person.
Very.
Very kind person.
Yep.
She was, in many ways, more of a mother figure to JJ than Lori was. Would you agree with that?
I think she was his big sister.
Right. Very caring
Does anyone know? Is John Pryor, is he also a Mormon? Just curious.
of JJ.
Just
Very,
curious.
very protective of JJ. Would you agree with that?
She loved him. Yeah.
And she understood him better than almost anybody, correct?
Sure.
He had tremendous challenges as a young autistic, 7-year-old autistic child, right?
Mm-hmm.
And of all your siblings, you would probably say that Tylee was probably the kindest, the gentlest, and the most understanding of JJ. Would that be fair?
Sure.
Okay. Now,
Where's John going with this?
you mentioned that Lori called you to let you know that Charles had died.
Yes.
She didn't tell you that Alex gunned her down in the house, right?
No.
She lied to you.
Yes.
Said it was a heart attack.
Yes.
Yes, make Lori look like the bad one. Lori's a crazy, manipulative goddess. Chad was under her spell.
Oh, you're Lori's son, natural son, right?
Yes.
So Lori Vallow lied to her son the first time, saying that Charles died of a heart attack, correct?
Yeah, there's a lot of lying in a lot of places.
And Lori lied a lot to you, right?
Other people too. Yeah.
But Lori lied a lot to you.
Yeah. And then, yeah.
And then you mentioned the name Melanie Gibb.
Mm-hmm.
Was Melanie Gibb in on this lying to you as well about covering things up?
I didn't speak to Melanie Gibb.
Okay. But Lori and Melanie were the best of friends, right?
You could say that.
Yeah. And Lori met Melanie because Melanie was teaching classes about religion and about various religious topics, and Lori gained an interest in that, and that's how that friendship started, correct?
I'm not exactly sure. She was at our Christmas party one time, and then she was there as her friend, so I didn't know what their exact connection was.
When was that Christmas party?
2018.
Okay. And the two of them were together, and it was abundantly clear that the two of them were very, very close friends, right?
Sure.
Okay. At the time that your mother notified you, you were at work, is that right?
Yes.
So did you get that message while you were actually working, or was it over a break, or how did that transpire?
So I was in the middle of my workday, and she called me, and then I went over there after work.
And where were you working at that time?
At Anytime Fitness.
Okay. And so you took a break. Do you need to take a break?
No, you're good.
Okay. You took a break, and your mother called you or texted you and said there was a heart attack.
Yes.
No mention of self-defense.
Nope.
No mention that Alex shot Charles in self-defense, right?
Nope.
She was clearly lying to her son, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, the fight that occurred between Charles and Alex, Tylee was there, and she was implicated in that, correct?
Yes.
And she was present for that fight and that entire altercation, from what you understand, correct?
Objection, states facts, not in evidence.
Overruled.
Correct?
From what I understand, yes.
Okay. Now, you mentioned that your father isn't Joseph Ryan, correct?
No.
But are you aware that your mother in 2018 received a sizable life insurance policy from Joseph Ryan?
I am now, yes.
You are now, like right now?
I mean, I heard that later on, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you're aware that financially, Lori Vallow had a significant amount of money as of middle or late of 2018, correct?
Yes.
Okay. During this time that there was discussion with Charles about financing, was it Charles Vallow who was the primary financer of the family's expenses?
Yes.
Your mother chose not to work.
She worked, I think, in the beginning, and then I think he just took over. I'm not sure. I was a child.
Okay, so when there was financial issues, it was your mother putting this all on Charles to provide for the family. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Charles put he was
And
making
you
like
already
500K
previously
a
mentioned
year.
that
And
you
like,
communicate.
was it like 500K a year? And he put it on like Tylee's like, was he buying a car for someone? I feel like I vaguely remember that. There was a point where Lori Vallow's lawyer was trying to make Chad look really bad. And he's like, he was throwing Chad underneath the bus. It was like, why would anyone go from Charles Vallow to Chad Daybell or something? Like Chad, this loser, writes books, makes no money, had to be carried by his wife, Tammy, who was taking care of like 4 or 5 kids. She was the one who was working and all that. Like, oh my God, dude, I remember that. I knew Lori. Lori must have been so pissed to have her lawyer go up there and just talk shit about Chad, her man.
With Tylee at least like once a month. Is that fair, or was it more frequently than that?
Can you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
You communicated with Tylee at least once a month. Was that fair?
Growing up, or
Well, in the last couple of years.
yeah,
Okay, and the manner that you would communicate was by text message.
primarily.
Okay. And how often would you communicate with JJ?
I mean, it really depends. Tylee and I would see them more often, so I didn't have much time for them not being around.
Okay.
So before that, it wasn't once a month. It was a lot more frequent. They lived in the same place, and I would go see them.
Okay. And when you communicated with Tylee, or excuse me, when you communicated with JJ, it was always Tylee there, right? Usually?
Oh, I'm getting hungry.
Not Lori.
She would be there too.
Okay. Now, you mentioned that you saw Tylee on August 30th in Mesa, Arizona. That was the last time you saw them. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And you had mentioned that Tylee was obviously upset.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. Did you have any prior information that Tylee just did not want to go to Idaho?
No, because I didn't know she was going to Idaho.
Okay. So she was obviously upset about something.
Yeah.
And it was the day that they were packing up to leave to go to Idaho. Is that right?
Between October 26, 2018 and June 9, 2020, Chad allegedly endorsed religious beliefs to justify the homicides of Tammy, Tylee, and JJ.
Yes.
And prior to that time, there was no indication that Tylee was upset about anything else. Is that right?
I don't know how to answer that question.
Okay, that's fair. Do you remember that? And from August 30th, you then had a FaceTime call with both Tylee and JJ later that afternoon, later that evening.
Mhm.
Do you know about what time that was?
Probably when I got home, so anywhere between 7 to 8 p.m.
Okay, and you don't know where they were at that point, though, right?
They were back at the house.
In Gilbert?
Yes.
Okay. They hadn't left, but they were preparing to leave.
They were leaving in the morning, from what I understood.
Was Tylee still upset about the fact that she was leaving for Idaho?
Not on the phone call, no.
Okay.
Chad claimed Tammy was possessed by a spirit named Viola. Max saw Tammy's life insurance before death. Oh, God. Are his children going to go up? I heard that his children might testify for their dad. I don't know. That's what I heard. Welcome back.
Now on the
Yeah, we covered the opening statements earlier for the Karen Reed trial.
back in late November, you had then had an occasion to talk with your mother. Is that right? After the Gilbert police spoke with you?
Yes.
And again, your mother lied to you again.
Yes.
Was Melanie Gibb there?
Where?
On the phone? Had any indication that Melanie Gibb was there listening in on the phone call?
No.
You don't know whether she was or not, or you just don't know?
I have no idea if she was there.
Okay. Now, your mother's a strong personality, right? Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
She's not someone that people can tell her what to do. Would you agree with that?
Not necessarily.
Okay. So you think she could be influenced very easily,
Unless.
right?
That's a big gap between not influential and influential.
Okay, but you would agree that your mother is one to speak her opinion when she has an opinion about a subject, right?
Not necessarily.
Okay. Did you have an occasion to ever interact or observe the way your mother talks to her friends? Let's say Melanie Gibb. How
Tammy Daybell was later determined to die from asphyxiation. Chad and Lori married 2 weeks after Tammy's death. I know there was some weirdness going on with her cause of death, because apparently there was a, what do you call that person again? Like a coroner, the person that does the autopsy went up and testified, and she initially said it was like from what did she say it was from initially? Like, what did she say? Natural causes or something else? But then when she was informed that Chad Daybell was also being investigated for the 2 kids, I think like she like re-looked at it and was like, oh, this is for asphyxiation.
She interacts with someone like Melanie Gibb?
Yes.
And that sort of interaction between them, your mother was a wallflower, or did she tend to speak her opinion?
Was it natural causes? It was like, because I think they tried to say that like, oh, Tammy had a bunch of like health issues, blah, blah, blah. You know, she was like taking medication for this, for that. I forgot what the initial cause of death was, but I know it was like later changed.
When she spoke with her good friend Melanie Gibb.
Can you define wildflower?
Wallflower, someone very passive who wouldn't argue, someone who would just accept the way things are.
Oh, a wildflower.
She did not like confrontation.
Okay.
She avoided it. So take that for what it is. I don't know.
Okay, so if getting in a discussion with Melanie Gibb, she would avoid confrontation. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Okay. Did she ever tell you in late November, after the police called you, that JJ and Tylee were with Melanie Gibb?
No.
Okay. And Judge, I think that's all I have. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Pryor.
All right, Michael, at first.
I think that was it, right? Yeah, that was it. That was pretty short. All right. That's Lori Vallow's oldest son. And he had to go up there and testify about his 2 younger siblings, talk about his mom, his shitty mom. I don't know. I feel so bad for him. I know that he was completely torn up when he testified for his mom's trial. Was it already been a year since Lori Vallow's trial? It's been a year, right? Yeah, he was like super upset when he went up there and testified, as he should be. I don't know. We'll see what's going on with the Chad Daybell. I've been tuning in here and there, reading the recaps, but we have 2 trials that I'm just going to keep track of. Chad Daybell. I feel like Chad Daybell, he's going to testify. He's got to testify. Same thing with Karen Reed. I'm sure she's going to testify too.